win it! Wow! Oh, man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles! Let me get a hell yeah!
What is up, everybody? It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. Party on Broad can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Make sure you smash that like button, drop a comment, subscribe. Today, we are previewing the Eagles versus the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to give our final touches on week 3. We're going to try and fix the Eagles in 3 moves. But joining me today is my man, our co-host. He is Rob. Follow him on Twitter at Philly_Madness. What up, Rob?
The best 2020 can do is make this COVID thing cancel the rest of the NFL season so we don't have to watch the Eagles anymore. I'm holding out hope. I'm holding out.
After COVID, they should do a fantasy draft of all the teams and like reset the rosters. I feel like, and so it goes by worst record. But if you have a tie, that counts as 2 losses.
Yes, I agree.
That's the only fair thing they could do.
I love it. I love it. All right. Today's special guest is my man, Seamus from Bleeding Green Nation. You know him on Twitter at Seamus_Clancy. What's going on, Seamus?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on to, collectively vent.
These pods are turning into therapy sessions. We've been doing
group therapy, baby. Let's talk it through.
This is what it is. We're coming together. And speaking of coming together, we got to lead off with Miles Sanders. He had some ill words to Philadelphia Eagles fans, basically saying, if you're not a fan, just don't bother. Rob, what was your take on this?
I don't know when these professional athletes are going to stop or start to understand what fans are. We invest our money, our time, our family's life. We invest everything in this team. And you could call it a sickness if you want, but that's what we do. So when you're playing like a bunch of jackasses, like the Eagles have played the first 3 weeks of the season, we're allowed to be unhappy. You should just be thrilled that no one was in the stadium the last 2 weeks. Because if you think it was bad here, imagine if those people were in the stadium when Doug Peterson runs the punt team out on 4th and 12 with 12 seconds to go in overtime. It's so asinine. Like, you got to stop acting like we're not allowed to get upset. We are, and we're going to. And in this town, and Miles, you've been here 2 years now. You know what this town is. You want to hear about it, and damn it, you should hear about it. This sucks.
Yep. This has to be the most unlikable Eagles team of all time. This guy has been a Philadelphia Eagle for 18 fucking games. I've been an Eagles fan for 35 fucking years. Yeah. Stop acting like an entitled little bitch. Go out there, win a game. Nothing we didn't already know. This Eagles team is soft. This Eagles team, this locker room, Doug Peterson, Jim Schwartz, the Sticks defense, straight up soft. This is Philadelphia. You want to be coddled? You don't want us talking shit about your team? Go out there and fucking win. But like we call, this is what Philadelphia is. We call out a piss poor performance when we see it. We're going to love you. If you win, we're going to love you. If you lose, we're emotional fans. Get a grip, Miles. Any take on that, Seamus?
I get with the young guys, Rager and Miles. This is probably the first time they've ever faced real adversity on a football field. And I get it. They're young. They're younger than me. At the same time, you got to have some self-awareness of what the situation that's going on right now. Unless someone on, Twitter and Instagram is like specifically tweeting at them to go fuck themselves or, you're a fucking bum. Like, I get being pissed off at that. But if you're mad that Eagles are just pissed off that the team is 0-2-1, we're just like, if you think you guys are frustrated on the field, we've been devoted to this way before you were here. We'll still be devoted way after you're gone. We'll root for you while you're here. And like you said, you're lucky no one was in the stadium to boo with them the last 2 weeks. Imagine that. Maybe the booing would have worked. Maybe you wouldn't be 0-2-1 if we were in there booing. I just have some awareness. Like, we're frustrated too. This is our life. Like, this. Like, you see what happens when we win, and you're excited hopping into the crowd when the fans went down to Washington last year. You love all that. But when the team sucks, you have to look in the mirror and say, hey, this is a wake-up call. I'm angry. The fans are pissed. I understand why they're pissed. I understand why I'm pissed. Let's change shit up and actually go win a fucking game.
It's brutal. It's just every year. It's just I'm tired. You said it best, Rob. I'm tired. It's just top to bottom. I'm tired. And let's do our final touches, our final thoughts on week 3. My biggest take with the tie versus Cincinnati is it's time to let 2017 go. It might not be today, and might not be tomorrow, but major changes are coming, absolutely coming for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're winless after 3 weeks. The tie was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call that it's time to start looking big picture. The Eagles are 18-16-1 with 1 playoff win since 2017. They are failing in all major areas of a franchise. Terrible player development, horrendous cap management, atrocious play calling. Carson is playing the worst of his career. Jim Schwartz's defense cannot stop anybody. Howie's countless misses in the draft and in free agency. So my last take of this Bengals game is it just made me step back and maybe realize what is actually going on with this franchise. The future's bleak, guys. Yes, the team has been butchered by injuries. Rob, you touched on it before we started. But you look at the young talent on this team. Jalen Reagor, Miles Sanders. What else is there on this roster? And you look at moving forward, the Eagles' next 3 games are the Niners, the Steelers, the Ravens. The 3 teams with 1 combined loss. You look further down the schedule, Dallas twice, a much improved Cleveland Browns team, the Seahawks, which Russell Wilson's just on a fucking tear right now, the Packers, the Saints. I'm feeling really shitty. All during the postgame, I was just straight numb. It was probably the Captain Morgan, and I was taking shots during the pod. If you just want to watch the tail end of that pod, I was getting ripped. But man, I'm just tired, and I honestly I don't know where we go from here. We were making jokes about how this pod is going to turn into a college football scouting pod. And that's where this is going. I don't even think we've hit the bottom of the barrel here, guys. Not at all. We could be looking at a potential apocalypse in Eagles Nation here. And we're not even at the quarter mark. Go ahead, Rob. What was your final take on week 3?
My final take is I'm tired of all the excuse talk from Doug Peterson. He's got an excuse for everything now in these press conferences, right? And then it's, thinking about it now. Yeah, I probably should have went. Why are you thinking about that now? You should have went for it. You should have done something different than what you did. You're Mr. Big Balls Doug Peterson, right? And you played soft as baby shit at the end of that overtime. I mean, you were soft. You were afraid. You were not even before not going for it. You played for a 59-yard field goal by doing nothing but vanilla runs up the middle to try and set yourself up. What the hell are you doing? So there's that. I'm tired of the, it's just a few things here or there, and we're going to fix it from Carson Wentz. Carson, just do it, dude. Shut up. Don't tell me that anymore. Just do it. Brandon Graham, we're going to fix this. I'm tired of the lip service with these guys. There's no heart. There's no emotion. There's no nothing with this team. If the fans not being there is affecting them this much, well, then all that talk about Doug Peterson be a player's coach and a guy people want to play for is bullshit. And this team's toughness is bullshit. This friggin' planets aligned right back in 2017. Don't give me this is the new norm anymore. That was a flash in the pan. You're looking at the new norm unless they get their head out of their asses, which I see no signs of whatsoever.
All right, Seamus, you're up, bro.
If Doug Peterson doesn't have any confidence in Carson Wentz, how is anyone else on that team supposed to have confidence in their supposed franchise quarterback? Not before even getting into how the fan base is supposed to have any confidence in Carson, Doug, or any semblance of success in this franchise going forward, not just this season, but next year or two. 2021, it's going to be the same roster. The cap situation is fucked. They get out of Carson's deal maybe in 2022. That's when the earliest you're looking at of maybe a clean slate and doing some reloading, quote unquote reloading. It's being more like rebuilding. This is it. This is what we're getting this year. This is what we're getting next year. The bottom hasn't even come out yet. We haven't even gotten to the 2 tough parts of the schedule. We're looking at best, I think, going into the bye, 1-6-1? You win that Thursday night game against the Giants, and who the hell knows? It's Thursday night on a short week. Someone could be hurt from the week before. You never know. This team sucks. We think about, the Giants are the easy win. Washington is an easy win this year. Cincinnati is an easy win. Maybe we are the easy win. We are the easy win for the rest of the league this year.
You know what my nightmare is? The Eagles are like 2-7-1, and the NFC East is so shitty that they're only like 2 or 3 games back, and the Eagles go on this like mini 3 or 4 game win streak, and they make the playoffs, and they bring everybody back the following year because this happens every single year, right?
Oh, they made the playoff 4 straight years. It counts.
That's what they keep telling us. Well, since the Super Bowl, we've made the playoffs 2 straight years, and we won a playoff game. You won because Cody Parkey doinked the field goal. You didn't win because you earned that win. You won because Cody Parkey couldn't kick, and Chicago has the worst kicker's luck in the history of the NFL. And then you saw what happened in the New Orleans game and everything. I don't want to hear, if Alshon catches the ball. First of all, if he catches the ball, it doesn't mean you're going to score. Stop telling me that. Just stop. You're not a good football team, and you haven't been since you won the Super Bowl. Bottom line.
New norm. One of the worst teams in the league, hands down. All right. Seamus, any last thoughts before you head out?
Yeah. We could win the NFC East at 6-9-1. I think that's legitimately a possibility. And that would be, as much as I'd be like, hype myself over a playoff game. I want Carson Wentz to have playoff experience. I want him to get a playoff win. Go into the playoffs. I'm going to root for them to win every game. I'm not like, it's hard for the Eagles compared to like tanking with the Sixers or something like that. Winning a crapshoot division and getting smoked in the wild card round is probably the worst thing that could happen to this franchise.
It could be. It very well could be. We could be back within the next month or two doing more Eagles mock drafts, right, dude?
I'm ready for mock draft season. Have me back on for that.
Crazy, man. I can't believe we're not even a quarter in and we're talking about it. It just blows my mind. Thanks for joining, man. Thank you so much, Seamus.
All right, guys. I'll have to hop on soon. Thank you, guys.
Sounds good. Better, dude. All right, let's talk about fixing. Before we move forward, let's talk about the comments here. We got my man Brian saying, "Bleeding Green, you have a great YouTube channel. Awesome YouTube channel. Make sure you go subscribe. Check that out." Let's go here. I listened to Merrill Reese on 94 WIP. I've never heard him so upset. I didn't hear that. Did you? I haven't heard anything about this. How about you, Rob?
I didn't hear it specifically, but I saw people tweeting out how dejected he is. And, I think he was like that. I can't remember when it was last year. And it might have been in the playoff game after Carson Wentz got hurt. And it just seemed like, they just couldn't get anything rolling. But Merrill was like, he was feisty during the year last year. A couple games, he really got into him a little bit. But guess what? He's another guy he's literally dedicated the last 40, 50 years of this franchise.
Yep.
And this is the product that he's got to go out and call every day. I mean, if you ask him, he's going to tell you he loves his job every single day, whether they're winning or losing, and he feels fortunate.
Yeah.
And I've talked to him a couple of times. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life. But how can you blame him? I mean, it's so disheartening right now for this to be happening when this was all we were waiting for.
Yep. Brian says, is anyone going to talk about how Wentz started sucking once they made Press Taylor quarterback coach?
Wait till you get to our fixes. Yep.
We'll get to that. My man Ty. What's up, Ty? 0-5-1 is a reality right now. The team looks so unsure of itself from top to bottom. Injuries, complacency. Amen. Absolutely a reality. I don't see them winning any of these next 3 games. And this Niners game coming up, man, that scares the shit out of me. We're going to do a little preview here starting very soon, and we're going to give our game predictions. It's not going to be pretty. Any take on that, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we could continue to say injuries. We can. But if you look around the league this year, everybody's got them. It's not stopping teams from winning. It's just not. It's not stopping these teams. 49ers have 8 major injuries, and they're winning games against bad teams, I know. But guess what? The Eagles have played 2 bad teams and have lost and basically lost to the other one.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give them that excuse anymore. I'm tired of giving them that excuse. Just like, look, I know for years we're like, oh, well, who's Carson playing with and look who he's throwing to. No, I can't do it anymore, man. You got to find a way to rise above it. And none of these guys are doing it right now. And it's really, really, really bad.
Brian says, "What happened to the new norm?" This is the new norm, man. The data indicates the Eagles are a bad football team. They've been trending downward for a long time now, since 2017. It is what it is. All right, let's talk about fixing the Eagles in 3 moves. Do you want to go first, or should I?
You could go first. Go ahead.
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. So for me, the problems start at the top. And we talked about that during the post-game show. I'm going to clean house. Send a clear message to everyone in the organization. Is not good enough because the way the roster is constructed, I honestly don't really see any immediate fix to what's not working. So due to that, I've got 2 long-term fixes and I've got 1 short-term fix. My first one is demote Howie Roseman, make him like analytics guy, managing like salary caps. My second one is fire Jim Schwartz. You know that was coming, Rob. And my number 3 is give the play calling to someone else. So on demoting Howie, like this guy couldn't see a good prospect if it fucking smacked him in the face. And it shows all across the league. We've gone on and on and on about the lack of linebackers on this team. It has absolutely killed the Eagles defense through 3 weeks. Can we talk a little bit about the release of LJ Fort, who was moved for Orlando freaking Scandrick? This guy, LJ Fort, has been a key cog for the Baltimore Ravens defense last season and in 2020. The Eagles are dead last in takeaways in the NFL. And I watch LJ Fort, and all this guy does is make plays. All he does is create turnovers and make plays. And it just is one example, just one, of how inept Howie Roseman has been from top to bottom. In week 1, LJ Fort had ruined a fake punt return during the Browns game. He tackled the punter, and it was for a 2-yard loss and forced a fumble. He recovered a loose ball and returned it for a 22-yard touchdown in week 2. He had a great 4th down stop versus the Kansas City Chiefs last night. It doesn't stop. You just watch these guys, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin over J-Jaw. Like, it does not stop. So that's my number 1. Howie's got to go. That has to be similar to Matt Clintock. Should have happened yesterday. I don't even know how they're even proceeding moving forward. On Jim Schwartz, 2.5 years, this guy has been just a huge problem. This is a guy who has too much control as a defensive coordinator. But you look at it, most importantly, I'm talking about the draft. The Eagles have not drafted a player without Schwartz's approval, and that's where it all begins for me. So between the last 3 years, the Eagles have drafted 12 defensive players, and only 5 remain on the freaking roster. We've heard Howie Roseman talk over and over about injecting youth and speed on this roster. So what does Jim Schwartz do? He has no clue what he's doing. He's the exact opposite of what you want out of a defensive coordinator. He gets the most out of like veterans, guys like Michael Bennett, Chris Long. These guys love him to death, but he absolutely has no idea how to develop youth. In a league where player development and getting the most out of draft picks due to salary cap restrictions, it is paramount. The guy hasn't done his job. It's mind-boggling that this guy still has a job with the Philadelphia Eagles. And then Doug Peterson, the play calling. Seamus actually touched on it. That was actually where I was going. Like, you're starting to see his confidence shake. And I thought, I'm so happy Seamus touched on it. You're seeing that have a ripple effect down the roster, especially Carson Wentz. This is a guy whose game plans are vanilla. His offense is flat out boring. He offers zero creativity or inspiration. And worst of all, Doug has shown zero clue on how to read, adjust during the football game. This guy has the playbook.
Feel like we might have lost Dibes. All right, we lost Dibes. So while he is missing, I will take over. And I'll touch on what he's talking about with Doug Peterson. And Doug Peterson was asked this week about what am I going to do, or was asked about the play calling. If he's thought about giving up the play calling, and he said, "No, I love it too much." It's not about what you love, Doug. Okay, it's not about what you love. It's about what you're good at. And right now, you're not good at calling the plays. All right, you're back.
Am I back?
You're back. I was picking up Dives, and I was saying that, Doug was asked this week about the play call. He said, oh, no, I never thought about that. I love it too much. And what I'm saying is it's not about what you love. It's about what you can do to help this football team. And you calling the plays does not help the football team. How can your quarterback have any confidence when you don't have any confidence in him? It's a disgrace what he's doing right now. And everyone wants to give him a friggin' pass. Stop.
Amen. That's exactly what I was going to say. But the fact remains, the Eagles have the 10th worst offense in the NFL right now. He continues to show no idea how to adjust or develop a game plan. Doug, thank you for that Super Bowl win. That was just the greatest moment of my entire life. But like I said, it's time to move on from 2017. My gut says Doug Peterson won't be fired until probably the end of next season. This thing has real potential to get way worse than it already is. So it's going to get ugly, man. What are your 3 fixes, dude?
Well, and listen, Howie's in there. I didn't put him number 1 because the friggin' fan in me is still looking for short-term fixes, even though they seem absolutely impossible. My number 1 is Press Taylor's got to go. You need to get a quarterback in here, or a quarterback's coach in here that knows how to get through to Carson Wentz, that isn't going to coddle Carson Wentz, that is going to do what John DeFilippo did to Carson Wentz. Okay? You need to get – glad you're back.
I don't know what's happening. My internet's going in and out right now. What is what it is?
So my first one, I don't know if you heard it, was Press Taylor needs to go. Need to bring someone in who is not going to coddle your quarterback, who is going to direct – seriously. Who's going to direct your quarterback the right way, who's going to do what John DeFilippo did and make it a little uncomfortable on Carson. Press Taylor's not the guy. So an immediate fix that you need to try before it gets any crazier is get Press Taylor the hell out of here. Let Sangarello just do it for a little bit. I don't know. This is why you need an offensive coordinator. Let Marty Morningway get in there and handle him in the QB room. Okay, that's better for me. That's number 1. Number 2, very much like you. How Jim Schwartz still has a job this week is beyond me. I don't know how many friggin' times we got to go through this. And you said it perfectly. All the idiots that this team has drafted, Howie's a big part of that problem, but Jim Schwartz gets to give approval. So I want to know why Davion Taylor, who's a kid who can't get on the field because he's not ready, was drafted over Logan Wilson, who's dominating the middle for Cincinnati right now. Okay, who's playing way better than any linebacker the Eagles have. I want to know why you just poo-pooed the idea of a first-round linebacker when Patrick Queen was there, when Kenneth Murray was there, knowing that position on your field was atrocious. But no, you decided it was all about speed. You went the old Al Davis way because that worked so well for the Oakland Raiders by just worrying about speed. And Jim Schwartz thinks these small, fast guys are the way to do it. Now, screw that. You have brought nobody good in here. You brought us Ronald Darby. You brought us who was the other guy from the Buffalo Bills that came in the year before who stunk? Was it Leotis McKelvin? I forget who the corner was because it was Jim Schwartz's guy. It was Jim Schwartz's guy, and he stunk. He was terrible. So I'm tired of this Jim Schwartz crap. He doesn't know anything. It's why he doesn't get interviews anywhere else. He's got to go. Number 3 is my more long-term one. And listen, I understand how he's a good analytics guy and all that stuff. I want him out. I want him out. I just feel like I'm watching Joe Banner. I want a brand new, fresh face that has no ties to the Joe Banner regime. And everyone forgets that. Who did Howie Roseman come up under? Andy Reid and Joe Banner. He was their intern or something, whatever the fuck it was. And so he's got that same mentality. And I think I'm going to get myself in trouble. I think it's a little bit of little man syndrome. He's this tiny, weaselly guy. He doesn't have a speck of athletic ability on him or muscle. So what does he do? He's got to show everybody. He's got to pound his chest, and he's got to say, I'm the smartest mother effer in the room, and you can deal with it. And what's that doing for us? He had one good offseason. Yep. And to be honest with you, when you look at some of the major factors on that year's team, Malcolm Jenkins, For that year only, Nelson Aguilar, right? A lot of the guys, Brandon Brooks, a lot of the guys that were brought here were not even brought here by him. Malcolm Jenkins was a Chip Kelly move. And I hate giving that bastard any freaking credit, but those guys were Chip Kelly moves. So what has Roseman done? Like, I don't even want him in the vicinity. I don't want him in the closet on the other side. I want him out of the NovaCare complex. Let him go down to Cleveland and follow in Joe Banner's footsteps down there.
You're not even in that like tiny room like across the street, like Jason Kelsey said.
Yeah, no, he's not allowed to be in the tiny room across the street. I want him out of the state of Pennsylvania. I want him out of the state of New Jersey because that's where I'm from.
They're not going to fire him. They're not going to fire him. It'll be a demotion. Very likely. You know, these guys are ingrained. And I just don't see Lurie having the balls to do what's necessary.
The only thing is, Jeffrey Lurie will allow the public to upset him. And if this continues down this road, it's going to be even worse than what the Phillies are experiencing right now. It's going to be even worse than what the Sixers are experiencing. Why? Because the Eagles are a bigger fan base. They cover a wider range of, a wider area of the world. And they're all going to come for him. And I don't know, like Jeffrey's good. Somebody's head's going to have to roll. And I don't think it's going to be Doug's this year. Unless you get a new GM in here and he says he wants a new coach, but I don't think that'll happen. So I listen, who else on the chopping block? You could cut some of the coaches, but I think Howie's seat is scorching right now.
Yep.
And he better pray to God something changes.
We have Brian saying the Eagles are going to become the next Browns team, 0-16 Browns.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Woo. I mean, I never mind. I was going to make a comment. I'd hate and regret and want to take it back, but we're not going to go there. All right, let's go on to the preview versus the San Francisco 49ers. Let's talk about the top storylines, matchups, and then we'll do a little game prediction. You want to lead us off, dude?
Yeah, my top storyline is, can the Eagles keep it close? I mean, can they keep this game close, or does it start out like the Rams game where before you know it they're down 14-3, and they're just fighting an uphill battle? If I'm the Eagles and I win the toss, I'm taking the ball. Why? Because I feel like you got to hope to God that you could get on the board first, so that maybe you could keep it close for a little bit. Now, granted, it could backfire. You could go 3 and out. They come down and score. Now you're screwed. But it's one of those games where if you want any chance to keep it close at all, you got to get Carson confident and hot from the beginning. So you need to start with the ball. You need to go up tempo. I don't want to see a goddamn huddle in the first quarter, and try and get him in a little bit of a rhythm. Look, it's beyond a difficult matchup, but the 49ers are banged up, right? They're missing guys in secondary. They're missing 2 of their top pass rushers. They're missing guys all over the field. Can you find an area to exploit somewhat with a matchup guy like a Miles Sanders? Can you get him out? Carson, you got to hit him when he's wide open. I mean, that's a high school pass you missed last week. But Carson is better when he's moving, when he's not thinking, and when he gets on a roll.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? No way.
Which means if the first pass is not a friggin' rollout, Doug, I swear to God, I might lose it. I just roll him out. Roll him out.
Insight.
The best
analysis. Wow.
Yeah. The best thing that came out of Carson Wentz's game against Cincinnati was the amount of times he just took off and ran. It was the most I've seen him do that since his injury, since he hurt his knee. And the couple of times he did it, he had that Carson look of breaking a tackle, making a move, diving for the end zone for the game-tying touchdown. And that's the Carson I like. That's when he's a confident dude. But listen, my number one storyline, and really my only storyline because of where we're at, is do they have anywhere near enough firepower to keep this thing close?
Yeah. Insightful stuff. Get Carson out of the pocket. That's amazing stuff.
Apparently, I have to say that to Doug because he doesn't know.
It's absurd. It's so freaking absurd that we're talking about a professional football team. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. My top storyline and matchups, I'm going to Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk versus the Eagles secondary. This is going to be very, very interesting. 15 receptions, 206 yards, and a touchdown. Those are the combined numbers of Cooper Kupp and Tyler Boyd these last 2 weeks. The Eagles haven't been able to stop anybody from the slot these last 2 weeks. So that's the matchup I'm looking at. Obviously, I'm a huge believer in Jalen Reagor. And when I predicted the Eagles were taking him in the first round last January before the draft, my biggest comparison for Jalen Reagor was actually Debo Samuel. Samuel was a beast last season. 71% of his offense came after week 7. He just tore it up the second half of the season. He played 80% of the snaps, both as a receiver and a runner. So this guy is versatile. This guy is fast. This guy can beat you, stretch the defense, beat you in many different ways. So Debo is a guy that like Jim Schwartz must account for. And I believe he tweeted out on Instagram or something that he's ready to go this week. You got to know where Debo Samuel is at all times on the field. We've seen the Eagles struggle consistently this season against these kind of guys that can, play all over the field, be in motion, put pressure on a defense in different ways. And similar to Jalen Reagor as well, I had Brandon Ayuk as that like second tier of wide receivers in the 2020 NFL draft. I love this kid's potential. His burst is legit. His ability to stretch the defense is legit. Unlike Reagor, I think Ayuk's future is more on the outside, strictly where Jalen Reagor is more physical. He's more versatile. He can go up and get a ball. He can play the slot. Brandon Ayuk had a really good game last week versus the Giants. He had 5 receptions on 8 targets for 70 yards and 3 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown. So these are 2 guys that can burn you in multiple ways. So we saw the Rams game. We saw the Bengals game. The Eagles cannot stop with their linebackers in front 7. They cannot stop anybody that can stretch the entire length of the field. So that's where I'm going. The Debo-Ayuk combo has serious potential to give us fits, despite Darius Slay's heroics, man. Quick nod to my man Darius Slay, who has been absolutely like you talk about Carson Wentz playing hero ball, well, trying to.
Yeah.
Darius Slay has been playing hero ball all season long through 3 games. That guy is just that moment where he came back in overtime and was involved in every single play, every snap, right at the ball. It's a shame the Eagles didn't win that game because that guy, for me, probably would have been the star of the game, Darius Slay. So, he's been terrific. But other than that, man, it's been a turnstile for the Eagles cornerbacks on the other side, in the slot, and even further, the Eagles linebackers. I'm not going to touch on the Eagles linebackers. Can the Eagles secondary match the versatility and speed of the Niners receivers? That's the major storyline I'll be watching on Sunday night. I didn't do George Kittle. I don't know if he's coming back this week.
We don't know about George Kittle. I think Garoppolo's going to be back. I don't know.
Okay.
You don't know about Mostert, but and Kevin Coleman. But like here's the thing with the 49ers. You want to talk about depth at the running back position. I mean, Jerick McKinnon's no slouch, and he's their 3rd running back, and he played very well in his basically primary ball handler role against the Giants. The Eagles haven't been great against the run. They've been okay. They haven't been great again. I mean, they got torched by the Rams, obviously. But, listen, Avonte Maddox most likely out, right? So that means what are you going to do on the outside? Is it going to be Crayvon LeBlanc on the outside?
Crayvon, yeah.
Or are you going to move Crayvon into the slot and let Roby Coleman? Like, what do you – listen, Trevor Williams was getting a lot of time out there. I know I made a joke earlier in the year. Remember, I said he was going to make the final roster.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. And then Jalen Mills, Chris, I meant to bring this up on Sunday, and I never got around to it. Nothing pissed me off more than late in that game after the Eagles had really been torched for most of the game. Every time some idiot made a play, whether it be Jalen Mills or Avonte Maddox before he got hurt, or Roby Coleman, we got to do a dance.
It's the worst.
Get the hell back to the huddle. You have nothing to dance about.
He makes 5 bad plays, and then he makes 1.
Oh, my God.
Okay play, and you see him, just sit down. Just
they all do it. It's so stupid. Anyway, I think, look, that's going to be the key is can they slow down the 49ers passing attack? Yep. And listen, if George Kittle's back in there, it gets that much harder. I don't know how you stop it with what you have talent-wise on this team. I don't know how you stop that. I don't think you can. And I hate to say it, what I think you got to do is high risk, high reward. And I think you got to blitz the shit out of Jimmy Garoppolo, who's ever back there, and just hope you can get home. Because I don't think you could play straight up 4-man rush and defend these guys. You know what I mean? I just don't see it happening. So shit, throw the kitchen right. This is one of those games I think you're gonna. I don't care what the numbers say that you're only a 3.5-point underdog, which boggles my friggin' mind.
Is that really? Is that true?
When it opened up, now I don't know where it's at now, but when it opened, it was 3.5, and I was like, "The frig is that?" And I'm with the idea that a couple of these other guys are still going to be out of the game. But regardless, to me, this is. Do you remember years ago? McNabb went down, and then who was his backup? And then Coy Detmer came in the game. Coy Detmer played Monday night game in San Francisco. I was in college.
The best. And he broke it. Is that the game when he broke his arm?
So he throws. They're up 21-0. Like it came out of nowhere and are blitzing one of the better teams in the league, and they're up 21-0. Then he breaks his pelvic bone.
Yeah.
Feely comes in and he throws But what I remember about that game as a young guy is they just said, "Screw it, let's just go friggin' play." And that's the mentality the Eagles are going to need Sunday if they want any chance. And I got to tell you, I have no faith in them having that mentality.
No, this team does not show you any heart. This team's not giving you any sense of optimism. Let's go into game predictions. Do you want to go first or should I?
I'll go first.
Go, man.
31-14 San Francisco. I don't think it's close. I think my hope is that this is a game where heads roll. And what I mean by that is a Jim Schwartz is thrown on his ass. A Press Taylor is thrown on his ass. That they bench some guys. I'm not saying Carson. I agree with you, Dibes, that I don't think the benching of Carson should come until you're out of the playoffs. You're not getting rid of Carson now. You're not getting rid of him at the end of the year because it's going to cost you too much money. So you got to try and rebuild this guy's confidence. And sometimes, though, like if it's that bad of a game, it's not a bad idea to bench him for the remainder of a game. I can remember years ago George Seifert doing that to Steve Young, who was a Hall of Fame quarterback, like against the Eagles, benching him for the rest of a game just to send a message. That I'm okay with. But you got to go back to him next week no matter what. But I think heads got to roll. I think guys got to be held accountable all over the field. And I think it's just a rout. I think it's just a really, really, really ugly one for us to watch Sunday night.
I just had the image of Greg Ward being your starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Anyway, we're heading into week 4 here, guys. Straight up mess, both sides of the ball. There's nothing in this game that gives me confidence. You're going up one of the best defenses in football. I just don't have any vibe that the Eagles are going to be able to get this victory. And worse yet, they're on center stage. They're on national TV Sunday night. And I like you touched on it, Rob, I think this is the beginning of the Eagles' downfall. I know Doug loves to rally his troops, play with his back against the wall. And I just see the Eagles' deficiencies too much for this game for the Eagles. Like, even though the Niners have a ton of injuries on their end, this is a legit defense that's going to cause significant trouble for Carson Wentz and the Eagles offense. And
all the way through.
Yeah.
Which is but you know what, Dives, here's the thing. When you look at Philadelphia as a whole, all the sports teams, and you look at what the Flyers did, and you look at what the Phillies did, right? The Phillies went 1-7 in their last 8, but they still had a chance to make the playoffs on the last day of the season because that's what we have to deal with as Philadelphia fans. We have to deal with this idea that we have to be in it till the end. So with everything we've said today and our predictions, would I at all be stunned if the Eagles came out and pulled an upset? No, because it just fits the friggin' mold of this town. Mm-hmm. So then we all got to stay invested for another week. And then maybe they lose, and then maybe they win. And here we are. And like you said, the NFC East is maybe the worst division in the history of football. I mean, 1-2 is first place in the NFC East after 3 weeks.
2-9-1. 2-9-1 combined record so far.
Yeah, and the Eagles are at, what, a half a game out of first place. 0-2-1. I mean, it's uncanny, man. It's uncanny because that's the other thing that you got to take into this. We're going to almost be in it because we're fans, even though we almost would rather them just like the Phillies. Like I had said, I didn't want the Phillies to make the playoffs because I wanted change. I don't know if we're getting change now because dumbasses in the front office, but we're still going to be highly invested. If the Eagles are a game out of the playoffs with 3 weeks to go, we're going to be in on that game like they're 12-4. You know it, and I know it.
Yep. Amen. So I personally, I see the Niners rolling this game. Probably more than a couple touchdowns. In fact, Seamus stole my words. I'm leaning towards this game being one of those Sunday night games where the game's over by halftime. The Niners have a commanding lead, and I have to work at 8 a.m. Monday morning. I'm like, screw this. I'm going to bed. I'm going to be honest. Go ahead, Bob.
That's where my sickness comes in. I won't watch the game anymore, but I won't go to bed because I'll be so pissed off that I just got to watch like comedy shows until 1 a.m. because I'm aggravated. Like that's what I'll do. So,
all right. You know what my go-to is? I watch bloopers on my phone while laying in bed, like Seinfeld bloopers or like Always Sunny bloopers. It's like just a way for me to just like completely cash out. Just like anyway, I'm going Eagles 20, Niners 34. The national media is going to be all over the Eagles and their failures moving forward. Let's go on to final thoughts, man. Go ahead, dude.
Well, my final thoughts are this. I weeks ago came on here and I said I have a conspiracy theory, and I have a feeling more and more people are starting to come to my side of this with this idea that Doug doesn't have the confidence in Carson Wentz, and I don't know if it's a bitterness thing because Carson didn't like Walsh and Grow or whatever it might have been. I don't know what it is. But once again, everybody wants to give him a pass when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Don't give Doug a pass. Doug had something to do with that call. And I think when Carson's head went pounding into the turf against Seattle, I think all of them up there, their assholes got about that tight. And they said, oh no, he's injured again. We can't do this anymore. We can't do it. Not taking into account it was a cheap shot hit. And they allowed Carson to see and to feel the no confidence that's there. And now he has no confidence in himself. Mm-hmm. And I personally believe if Carson Wentz went somewhere else to end his career, he'd have a hell of a successful career. I firmly believe that. I'll take that to the grave with me. But, my final thoughts are don't get embarrassed on national TV, please. I can't do this anymore. Like, Dallas fans aren't even making fun of us right now. Like, it's that bad. Dallas fans feel bad for Philly fans right now because of how embarrassing. And the other thought is, so my school has decided to host back to school night where I have to be in the building even though it's virtual on Thursday night. Therefore, I cannot do the madness as I will be talking to parents about how I love their children so much and I love every part of my job from the time I get in the morning to the time that so there won't be a madness this week. Still want to throw out there another congratulations to Jess, who's like thrilled as she should be, and she's living it up all over social media, which I love to see. But we'll be back next week. But it's, you catch me on the post game with Di. Well, I don't even know if we're gonna have a post game, Dibes. That's late at night, dude. That's super late.
What are we doing? Yeah, that's not happening. I got actually like. I'm not even sure what my real job is anymore, but I gotta go to actual work Monday morning. Maybe we'll do one like Monday evening or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Right. So obviously you know where this is going. Jalen Reagor's on the injured reserve. Your man Justin Jefferson, 7 catches on 9 targets, 175 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Did you see his touchdown catch?
Nuts.
He broke first of all, it was an unbelievable catch, and then he breaks like 2 or 3 tackles on the way, and I'm just going, they said he couldn't play on the outside. And I'm not going to hold anything against Jalen Reagor. He's hurt right now. He can't stand up for himself.
Jalen Reagor's looked terrific, to be honest. Yeah. He's been kind of phased out where he had plenty of games where he had like 3 or 4 catches in the first half and was just a non-factor. And like I said, trickle-down effect. And that we touched on it. We talked about how we saw Doug starting to lose confidence in his play calling. I mean, if you want to call it play calling, I don't even know if you can actually do that. But when he goes for the tie rather than go for the win, you're seeing it. You're seeing the Eagles across the board, the confidence it's just the tower is like crumbling all over the place. And final thoughts: Eagles pregame is going to be going down Sunday, probably like around 6. I'm thinking we'll probably do like a nice little 30-45 minute pregame, just previewing the keys to the Eagles' success on offense, on defense. Talk about predicting our stars of the game.
That's your key. Pray to God. Go to church early in the morning. I don't care what you do, but you better pray your ass off.
Oh man, it's gonna. Yeah. Anyway, plugs. Oh, we already did plugs. We have a horror movie draft coming up. 20 teams in this one. 20 teams. We're gonna have 2 separate drafts on 2 different nights. Live stream the best horror movies of all time. You pick 5. And they're going to be thrown. All the teams of 20 teams are going to be thrown into a bracket and voted on Twitter. Check that out. That's going to be so much fun. So
I'm scared of my own shadow, so I don't really do horror. I can't. I literally will. Like if a preview for a horror movie comes on, I yell real loud and change the channel so I don't even have to hear it. Like I am like a little 40-year-old when it comes to horror films. So you guys enjoy that one.
I love horror movies. That's like literally my favorite genre. It is the best movie genre out there. I think we nailed it. All right. Make sure you follow my man Rob on Twitter at Philly_Madness. Check out the Madness podcast. Check me out if you want. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. For Rob, for myself. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.